The top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee, which has jurisdiction over everything the Secretary of Defense does, said this.
I confess I did not know who Pete Hegseth was until about 20 minutes ago. He does not seem to have much of a detailed background in DOD policy. To the extent he's worked on any of that stuff, it has been on veterans policy, not on DOD issues. So the lack of experience is concerning. Now, I have not heard what his plans are, so we will see what his plans are. But it was surprising, and it is concerning just given that lack of experience. The Pentagon, biggest bureaucracy in the world. It's a hard thing to run. So I think it's going to be a challenge.
Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Adam Smith of Washington. He is the senior Democrat on the Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us. Have you learned anything in the last 24 hours that reassures you about Donald Trump's choice for Secretary of Defense?
No, actually, I've learned a lot of things that make it all the more alarming, and you just played a clip of that. I mean, he fundamentally doesn't seem to approach these issues with much seriousness, and I understand that. He's a pundit, okay? That's what pundits can do. They pontificate. They take ideas off the top of the head, and they throw them out there for purposes of discussion. That's fine, but if you're going to run the Pentagon, you don't need to be a pundit. You need to understand policy, and you need to have actual concrete plans. So it is really concerning. Everything I've heard in the last 24 hours shows me that he's a shoot-from-the-hip guy, doesn't have a clear policy agenda, who is simply there to do Donald Trump's bidding. So, and look, I mean, there's two layers of concern here. One is it's a complicated job, regardless of what your policy positions are, running that massive bureaucracy, knowing, the president comes to you and says, hey, we got a situation in the Middle East. What are our options? If you've never actually been in a situation room or in the DOD and analyzed what those options are, you're kind of making it up off the top of your head. And that is very, very alarming. We have billion-dollar programs that the Pentagon's in charge of. This guy's never procured anything on this level. So the lack of experience is troubling. The flip sort of approach to something like Ukraine, to women serving in the military, yeah, this is deeply troubling.
Now, we've heard your Republican colleagues in the House come out against Matt Gaetz, who is, by my gauge, is the most hated Republican by Republicans in the House.
I was going to joke that's just because they know him.
That's right. There you go. There you go. Is there any similar reaction behind the scenes there with Republicans to Donald Trump's choice for Secretary of Defense?
Yeah, behind the scenes, there are the concerns that I just laid out. But publicly, and look, even on Matt Gaetz, I mean, House Republicans don't like him, but Trump seems to be leading them around by the nose. I mean, do you really think that the Senate Republicans are going to vote against any of Trump's picks? It's really worrisome, and we haven't even talked about Tulsi Gabbard at DNI, where she has no experience in intel matters whatsoever. So the picks that have come in the last couple of days, they're cause for concern, but also, as a number of people have pointed out, I've heard, it's not surprising. Trump was very clear about what he was going to do. And this is consistent with what he said, gosh, for the last 4 years.
Well, it will only take 3 or 4, maybe, Republicans to peel off in the confirmation process, and these people are in trouble. It also depends, of course, on when Marco Rubio is confirmed, because that will remove one Republican senator from the vote. But go back to Tulsi Gabbard. Where do you see the biggest danger in these appointments? Is one of these appointments the one that you think is most dangerous?
I think collectively. I don't know that one is more dangerous than any other, but there's, I guess I would say, 3 big dangers. One, ignorance. Okay, these are really important and difficult decisions. And I'll be honest with you, Lawrence, I became ranking member of the Armed Services Committee 14 years ago. I'd been in Congress, I don't know, what was it, 16 years at the time, 14 years at the time. And early on, first couple of days in there, I was like, wow, okay, there's some information I hadn't seen before, things I need to get up to speed on, and that was ranking member on the Armed Services Committee. all right, to be Director of National Intelligence, Secretary of Defense, Attorney General. I mean, you've got major issues coming at you that these people have literally never seen before. So that's number one. Number two is their absolute fidelity to Donald Trump and Donald Trump's propensity to have a fair number of deeply concerning whims, which he will require these people to act on and which they will act on. And number three is their policy positions. I mean, you just heard it. Yeah, you know, Putin, I don't know if I can swear. I think you bleeped out. You know, Putin's just getting his shit back, but I think he'll stop at Ukraine. I got news for Mr. Hegseth. Putin thinks he's got a lot more shit to get back, okay? So even if that's his position, he should have a more alarming outlook on where that goes. So all three of those levels make this deeply concerning. But again, I want to emphasize for all of those, you know, Republicans who claim to be troubled by Trump, but were more troubled by Kamala Harris, come on. He told you this was what he was going to do over and over and over again. And yes, it is deeply alarming, and now we all are going to have to deal with it.
Congressman Adam Smith, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.